Good afternoon, boys and girls. Tell you what I'm going to do today. We're going to do something totally off the wall, and I'm going to show you how to make a belt. That sounds kind of stupid, but I'm going to show you how to make a belt so you won't ever need another belt the rest of your life. How's that sound? So, anyway, here we go. I went to Walmart this morning, and I bought a package with two of these tie-down straps in them. They're one mouth, they're one gate, okay? It was $6, right around $6, $5.50 or something like that for two of these, okay? So $3 a piece, okay? All you do is you put the thing through the thing, you push the button, pull it up till about your waist size, and then you let go. Once it's on there, it will never let go. Not unless you put like 1,000 pounds on it. It will not let go. And all you do to loosen it up, you just push the little button, slide it wherever you want. Okay? Easy. Easy peasy. As Corporal would say. Corporal's Corner. You know, jarheads. It's kind of what we do. Now, word of caution. If you go to Home Depot has these straps. They're beefier strap. They're called Night Eyes, I think, but they're like $17 a piece, and they've got two jaws. One jaw for the back, and one jaw for the front. And they also have a loop on one end that doesn't fit through the front jaw. What the heck? What are you gonna do with that? Anyway, these are nice sturdy straps, but they're too frickin' complicated. They're a pain in the butt. And they're $17 a piece. I go to Walmart, like I said, Walmart has them for $6 for two. And I think they're only red, but I'm sure if you go to your kayak place or REI or Dick's Sporting Goods or even Bass Pro, they've probably got the same ones for a kayak. Of course, they jack the price up because they're sporting goods. So they're probably $15 a piece, but different color. If you don't like red, I don't really care. So you get it about to your waist size, and you give you some extra slack, cut it off, and then you kind of burn it with a lighter. Big deal. Takes you 5 minutes. 5 minutes and $3, and you've got a belt that'll last you the rest of your life. Okay, now let me show you how to wear a belt. You're probably thinking, come on, don't be an idiot. I'm gonna be an idiot. Okay, I started hang gliding. Let's sit back down again. I started hang gliding when I was 20 years old, 19 years old, I think it was. I was stationed in North Carolina, and I went to Kitty Hawk Kites. And I took a sled ride down the sand dune there at Jockey's Ridge once or twice. Didn't learn anything. Second time, they run me up on ropes, and I'm up there, the wind's howling. And I'm 30, 40 feet in the air, and you got a guy on a rope on a wing, guy on a rope on the other wing, and you got a guy on the nose. And they're just floating me up there. What good is that? I didn't learn anything. So then I was in Colorado. I was going to school at Lowry Air Force Base. And I was headed up to Estes Park to go fishing. Great trout fishing up in Estes National Park. So I was on my way up the hill up Green Mountain on I-70, I guess it was, and I happened to look off to the side, and there was a whole bunch of people running down the hill with hang gliders, and I said, aha, today's the day. I knew from the time I was 6 years old, and I saw a Wrigley Spearmint Gum commercial where the guy launches off the side of the Grand Canyon. And he's got this double mint gum in his mouth. He's, the flavor lasts a long time, and he floats off into the distance. That's when I knew I wanted to hang glide. So at 20 years old, I said, yep, today's the day. Did a U-turn, went back. I bought a used hang glider, and I started running down the hill with it. Anyway, long story. That was, what was that? That was 45 years ago. Yes, 50 years ago, roughly. I'm 68, and I was 20, so that was 48 years ago. And I've been hang gliding ever since. Hang gliding and paragliding and power paragliding and triking and anything to get off the ground. when I was a kid, the way I first attempt to get off the ground, and my brothers will laugh, they'll hear this. We were jumping off the garage roof with cardboard wings. We took these pieces of cardboard, and we cut notches in them, and we held them out, and we ran off to the garage roof. Well, I broke my right arm doing that. but ever since then, yep, I wanted to fly. Motorcycles are cool, but hang gliding and paragliding, whatever, those are motorcycles on 3D. Those are motorcycles on steroids. I'm still flying a trike, obviously. You see my channel. But anyway, speaking of hang gliding, we've used these straps. I've used these straps for 45 years. We wrap it around a hang glider in a rack, we pull it tight, and then we bomb down the road 70 miles an hour. These, I have never ever had one of these let go. Never. Never had one fail. Once it's in place, of course all you gotta do is pull up, push the little button and it slides. These are the best damn straps you'll ever buy. They're great for kayaks. They're great for, I don't know, putting your lawn chairs up there or your rooftop tent or whatever. Anything you got to put up there temporary, up on the top of your truck or anywhere. They're cool. Now, show you how to wear a belt. Okay? I started years and years and years ago when I was hang gliding, regular. I live in Tennessee now, so I don't hang glide as much. But when I started hang gliding, I had one of these great big old brass belt buckles. And in a hang glider, you lay down in a harness, and for 3 hours or 4 hours, you're laying in a harness and you're flying a hang glider, and it's tearing up your stomach. So probably the first or second long flight, I learned, nope, turn it around and put the buckle on the side. That way it's not in the way. You bend over, it doesn't poke you in the stomach, and then as you get bigger, you get a little bigger stomach, then it's even more of a pain in the butt because the thing's poking you in the belly. So put it on the side. See, I've got mine on. I've had this thing for years and years. It's a little dirty, I probably ought to wash it. But I left about that much of a tail. About a month ago, 2 months ago, I was out here. Now every day I tighten it up a little bit. And I've lost 23 pounds since Christmas. And this is March. So the belt just gets adjusted every day. Whenever you put it on, you just snug it up to whatever you want. And if you got bigger pants or thinner pants or like we used to wear corduroys as kids, brown corduroys going to school. Anyway, put your belt buckle on the side. It's out of the way. It's not a pain in the butt. So, Walmart, good straps. You can probably get good straps at REI or at, like I said, Dick's Sporting Goods or maybe even Camping World or Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's or whatever you call it. Don't go to Home Depot, all right? Don't get the ones at Lowe's or Home Depot. These Night Eyes, they look nice and they're a little bit more quality made. They're just a pain in the butt. And that's not something I want to screw with, okay? So, I think we covered that. Started flying when I was 20. I've flown in North Carolina, obviously. I've flown in Colorado. I've flown in San Diego, all over San Diego. Horse Canyon was my favorite site. I've flown Laguna. I flew Little Black Mountain, Big Black Mountain. I used to train at Poway. There's a training hill in Poway years and years ago. Used to run down the hill, try to figure out how to fly, and some other guys come over and said, "Nah, you gotta go to Little Black. Little Black is a better place to fly." So I went over to Little Black, and I got like 800 feet off the ground. It was really cool. I got to play. Whereas I didn't get but maybe 10 feet off the ground at Poway. So I went to Little Black, and then I went to a place called Blossom Valley out in just outside of San Diego. Blossom Valley was in, I forget the name of that, La Mesa, just past La Mesa, El Cajon. And I flew out there. That was great, because I'm flying Blossom, you run back and forth across the ridge a few times, you get up a little bit, then you jump across the valley to, there's a mountain over there, and I don't even remember the name of the mountain. guy named John Ryan got me my second hang glider. I bought a Streak 160. Anyway, then from Blossom, started flying Horse Canyon when they only had a little bitty postage stamp in Horse Canyon. Little bitty thing. And you had to come down and you come in over the bushes and you literally had to drag your feet in the bushes. You can see on my site, I've got an old video that Warren Toby took for me when I was in the Marines. I was stationed at North Island. But anyway, you gotta come right over the bushes, drag your feet in the bushes, and then as soon as you hit the little bare spot, throw it out into a flare and try to park it. And in those days, guys were flying into, there's a fence, a big chain link fence that ran alongside the freeway there. I-8? Yeah, I-8. And the guys would always crash into the fence, or they'd come in short and they land in the bushes, or sometimes before the little postage stamp got a little bigger, we used to land on the dirt road right there. We're right on the bend, and you had to just time it just right, otherwise you were in the bushes. So then I flew Laguna. There was a cliff we'd jump off of, like a 3,000-4,000 foot cliff right there at the guardrails. Jump off and fly down across the Anza Borrego Desert, and you run down the Laguna Range, and then there's also a little slope launch up on the hill a little bit at Laguna. You run down the range, and you get up high, and you go back to Lake Cuyamaca, or you head out to Granite Mountain. You had to jump a gap. You had to jump this big wash to get across to Granite Mountain. Granite Mountain was huge, and there was thermals that would roll up both sides, 3-4 sides. I mean, it was just thermals coming from every direction. They'd go all right up to the peak of Granite Mountain, and they would all join together, and it'd be this massive thermal going up thousands of feet. And if you were lucky enough to work your way back and forth across the hill and get up to that main thermal on top, you could get in that thing and you go up a couple thousand feet. But a lot of times, if it wasn't working really good, you end up down in the desert in the river wash, the dry wash. And then you had to pack it up and hike out of there, and it'd be 100 degrees and dry as hell. It was miserable. But the only thing was made it decent was there was a whole bunch of other people down there with you. So it was kind of cool. Anyway, and then I remember for like a week or two that there was a bunch of Norwegian women pilots, and they all landed in the wash, and the first thing they did was they took off all their clothes. so we were so busy watching them, we didn't fold our gliders up. So anyway, long story. But after that, I went to Utah. I flew a place called Heber. I flew a place called Commodore Peak. And obviously pointed the mountain, the north side and the south side. And then these guys I was flying at the north side one day, and this guy said, "Hey, come on, let's go. We're going to Willard Peak." "You ever been there?" I said, "Nope, never been." So we went up to Willard Peak, and it was just a bend on the road up above the Great Salt Lake. And you get out, and there's no guardrails or nothing. You set your glider up right on the dirt road. You walk over the edge of the road, and it's about a 5,000 foot undercut cliff. Not straight down, even cut underneath. 5,000 feet down to the Great Salt Lake. So you stand there on the edge and you just kind of lean forward, and away you go. It was fun. It was interesting. Where else? Commodore Peak. You fly Commodore Peak. You get up really, really high. Launch was at like 9,500, so density altitude. It was a little. You had to run pretty good to get off of Commodore Peak. Anyway, when you get up there, jump across the valley, and of course you're jumping right across the approach to Salt Lake International. There's a lot of stories that go on with that. Anyway, you fly over to Point of the Mountain, hit the north side, climb up on the north side, you drop back a little bit to the Wasatch Peaks, and then you're on the Wasatch Peaks down south. I have 70, 80 mile flights, 100 mile flights, nothing great compared to everybody else, but it was pretty cool for me. That was some of my longest flights out there. Where else? I went to Japan, and I flew a place called Oshima. Was the first place, and it was a ramp on top. You launch off, and it was sled ride down to the beach. It was just a big fly-in, but it was more of a publicity stunt. We really didn't get very high. And I borrowed a guy's Comet. Guy had a Comet C2, I think it was. And we flew down to the beach, and there were lots of people landing in the ocean. We'd have to go out and fish them out, whatever. After Commodore, there was What was this place? It was a bunch of oil, great big huge oil drums. I'll think of it later. But anyway, it was a little bitty site, and it was never soarable. And we'd launch off of there. I flew with all Japanese pilots, and most of them, their English was kind of poor. Some of them could speak a little bit, but most of them couldn't speak any English, and my Japanese was pretty lame. So we'd fly off of there, and it'd be a race, see who could make it to the beach fastest. And you just get out there and haul ass to the beach. Okay, once you get to the beach, it was pretty cool. But I went up there one day by myself, unfortunately, and I got set up and I launched off. It was during the week, and I had something was going on. It was an American holiday, and the Japanese were all working. So launch off the hill, and I happened to look over to my right, and there was a whole bunch of these turkey buzzards, and they were all circling in a thermal. So I swooped down and I got in this thermal with them, and they didn't leave. They stayed right in there, and they'd fly right up underneath my wingtip, and we were all circling, climbing in this thermal. We gained 2,000-3,000 feet, just hanging out right there by the ocean. Ah, crap! I can't think of the name of it now. But anyway, followed these turkeys up to a couple 3,000 feet, and then all of a sudden I look around and they're gone. And I look way down the other end of the ridge, and they found another thermal way down there. So I turn and I glide all the way down to them. And we all going back up again and back up again, and we kind of get to the top. And when you get to the top of the thermal, it's like you're riding on a bubble. You're not going any further. You're just kind of bubbling around on the top of it. So, and then I thought, well, this ain't going nowhere. So I turned back toward the launch. I headed down that way, and I was sinking, and I got to the launch, and I found a thermal of my own. And I started climbing up. I got up probably 1,000 feet, and all of a sudden there's 40 of these freaking buzzards. I mean, big wingspan, like 3.5, 4 foot wingspan. These guys swooped right in underneath me, and they climbed right up through me. It was like having a whole bunch of guys to fly with. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, we went from thermal to thermal to thermal to thermal. I must have got like an hour and a half that day at a site that is never soarable. It's always marine air coming in off the ocean. Heber? No, I can't think of the name of the place now. Anyway, it was just north of Kawashima. Old age. There was another place. I'm trying to think of these places in Japan. It's been a while. Koshoji Mountain was another one. We used to go up to Koshoji Mountain on the weekends. And we'd go up and we'd launch off and we'd fly around and we'd land in the rice paddies down below. But you could only do it in the wintertime because they had harvested the rice and the rice paddies were clean. Usually a little muddy, but the rice was all cut down. And you could fly there and land, but the wind was always coming down through the valley. So we landed uphill on the rice paddies. So it's a rice paddy, then it's a concrete wall, then it's a rice paddy, and another concrete wall, and a rice paddy, and another concrete wall. And the rice paddies weren't very big. So you had to time it really close, and you just flare and set it down on the paddy rather than piling into this concrete wall, because the hill is going uphill. But it was fun. There's some of them on my channel too. Japanese guys made a bunch of videos, and before I left Japan, they gave me a VHS cassette all full of flying videos over there. It was pretty cool. They're a great bunch of guys, the hang glider pilots in Japan. Anyway, I flew, where else? Obviously Utah, all over the place in Utah. I flew to San Bernardino. That was, when I moved to Las Vegas, San Bernardino was pretty much my home site for a long time. I have a trailer behind my truck. I was actually living in the trailer. And on Friday afternoon, I'd hook up my trailer, hang gliders on the roof. I'd head down to San Bernardino, down to Andy Jackson Air Park. And in those days, you could camp right there just above the landing field. There was a kind of dirt area that you could pull in a little trailer or whatever, but unfortunately the guys abused it. And some guys brought in these big motorhomes, and the motorhomes broke down, and they left them there, and they just made a mess and everything else. And finally the county said, San Bernardino kind of said, no more camping. So we couldn't camp there anymore. But in those days you could camp, and it was great. You go down and Rob and Diane, Kels? I forget, no, Rob Mackenzie. I think it was Mackenzie. Yeah, Rob Mackenzie and Diane. They used to run a shuttle up and down. And you could either go to Marshall Peak or you could go all the way to Crestline, either one. So I'd chuck them $10. I'd ride the shuttle up to Marshall or up to Crestline, depending on where they were going, depending on the conditions. Fly off of there, land right in a landing field like 15 feet from my camping trailer, fold up the glider, walk up, and it was great. Camp out down there for 2 or 3 days and fly, then I'd head back home. Anyway, that was cool stuff. And then I got into trikes, and I've flown trikes for years and years and years. I was a Cosmos trike dealer for years. Used to buy and sell Cosmos trikes, a French make. They're out of business now, as far as I know. But I used to have a Cosmos Phase 2. And when I lived in Las Vegas, I taught for a couple of years, 2.5 years, I think it was. I taught people how to fly. People from all over the world. People from England. A guy named Les came over from England. People from New York City. People from all over the place. They come to Vegas to party. They find out, oh yeah, they can go learn how to fly a trike. So I used to take them, teach them how to fly. It was cool. I had a couple of little bitty trikes. One of them, I bought a kit from Russia. And the trike itself was pretty good, but the gas tank they gave me, the gas tank was a little 5-gallon antifreeze jug with a hose stuck in it. That was their gas tank. So that went in the garbage, and I put a real gas tank on. I bought a little boat gas tank and all this other stuff, and I mounted my own. I had a Lamoette topless wing that I mounted on top of it, and it used to go really good. I had 2 of them actually. I had a Samba and I had a Russian homemade whatever. But flying on a dry lake in Las Vegas, pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. You just don't go out there when it's wet because your truck will sink right up to the frame. Then you're stuck there forever because the tow truck won't come out and get you. Then we moved from Las Vegas to New York, and I'm flying in upstate New York, flying at the Johnstown, Fulton County Airport, flying up in Northville, actually Edinburgh. It's a little plateau air park, I think is what they call it. Fly out of Cobleskill, was a nice airport. It was a lot of fun. And now I'm in Tennessee. So I just found this place way out east, in Mountain City, is the Johnson County Airport. They like ultralights and hang gliders and paragliders and all kinds of, I guess every August, for the whole first week in August, they have what they call a moonshiners fly-in. And this fly-in goes for a week, and they get hundreds and hundreds of powered paraglider pilots out there. And these guys are taking off, and they're taking off in the grass, and they're taking off on the runway, and they're just all over everywhere, and it's like a flying circus. I'll be there. This August, I will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube. The Moonshiners Fly-In. Check them out. It looks like so much fun. Oh yeah, when I lived in Vegas, they had a PRA, the Popular Rotorcraft Association, would hold a fly-in out on the dry lake, the El Mirage dry lake, over by, I think it's March Air Force Base or one of the Air Force bases over there, but it was El Mirage dry lake, and it was a huge freaking dry lake. And I used to go fly with those guys every once in a while. I'm the only guy out there with a trike, and I'm buzzing around on a trike, and these guys are all in gyros, and there'd be hundreds and hundreds of gyros. So any chance to go to a fly-in with, kind of same type aircraft, gotta do it. They are a lot of fun because in the evenings you're cooking, and usually they get a band, and then it's just a lot of fun. When I lived in Virginia, I was going to school in Fairfax, but I went down to Florida, down to Wallaby Ranch, down with Malcolm and the guys, and I flew for about 2 weeks. I got my tow rating, used to tow up 1,500 feet or whatever, cut loose and just take the thermals up. A lot of fun. Anyway, I'm just rambling on. It's been a flying career. Like I said, since I was 19 or 20, I've been flying. And I haven't looked back since. I had a whole bunch of trikes. I built an airplane, built a little Avid Flyer, a little two-seater. All those build videos are on my channel. And I flew in Manassas, Virginia. Not Manassas, just outside of Fairfax. There's a little airport there. What the heck is the name of that airport? I don't know. I've flown so many damn places. It's hard to know, hard to remember. But also when I got here, I asked around and nobody wanted me to fly at the airports with my trike. Oh, we got big planes coming in here, even though I've got an N number and I have a pilot's license and everything else. My trike's inspected, I'm current, you name it. No, you'd be better off flying someplace else. So I got the cold shoulder several different airports. And then I went to this place called Kite Field. Just a little grass runway. And old guy, Sam Kite, I think his name was Sam Kite, owned acres and hundreds of acres. And they'd raise hay and then they sell it off to all the locals and whatever. It was a big business for them. But they had a bunch of hangars out there. And I went over there and they said, no, we don't let ultralights fly here. Nope. We had power paragliders here and they abused it and they pestered the farmers and the farmers didn't like it. And another guy with trikes, he said, so we don't let anybody like that fly here. Because it was a private airport. So anyway, I talked with him and I sweet talked, and being an old guy, they figured I'm not going to be too reckless anyway. So then finally they said, yeah, come on down. We'll see how you do. So I flew there 3 or 4 times. I've got videos of Kite Field. Nice place to fly. It's wet grass you're flying in and setting up. I got to set my trike up and I'm setting it up in a wet grass. And by the time you get in the air, your knees are wet, and your pant legs are all wet, and your shoes are soaking wet. And not to mention the glider's all grass and wet. And you can't fly it if there's a frost because the grass will break during the frost and it'll kill the grass. So they won't let you fly if it's frosted. They won't let you fly if they're working any of the fields. Great people. I appreciate them letting me fly there. I flew there 3 or 4 times, I think it was. But now I'm going to Johnson County Airport. Johnson County is the place. So I went over there a couple of weeks ago, almost a month ago. I had surgery a month ago. So just before I had surgery, I went over there and camped out for the night, camped right on the tie downs. I flipped out my tent, set up my little charcoal grill, and flew the next morning, had a great time. So that's my home site from now, at least for now anyway. I'm thinking about switching, or even if I could afford it, I'd be adding, I want to get electric power paraglider, electric paramotor. These electrics look really cool, and we're thinking maybe someday we may move to the Philippines, the wife and my son and I. Depending on what goes on with the U.S., things are pretty screwed up, I guess, government-wise, and rules and laws and money and everything else is all screwed up. And I live on Social Security. I don't have any money. So eventually my trike's going to die, and I won't be able to afford to fix it. So I'm thinking about electric paramotor. I've flown paramotors before, like 2 flights. I am a paraglider pilot. I was a P2 paraglider pilot. I flew them for several years with my son. My other son, he was 12 years old, and he says to me, he says, hey, he says, I'm tired of sitting on the top of the mountain watching you fly. I want to fly too. So I said, well, you want to fly? He said, well, I'd like to fly paragliders. And I said, well, okay. We were living, where were we living? We were living in Oceanside, California. So I signed him up. No, we were in Vegas at that time. So I signed him and me both up in Santa Barbara with the Fly Above All guys. Chad, Bastian, and the guys over there. We went over there. We'd take the Lance camper and a truck, and we'd head over there for 3 days. And we'd run down Ealing's. We go to Ealing's Park. And we learned how to kite, we learned how to fly and everything. He's 12 years old. They gave him a little smaller glider, but he got it, picked it up pretty good. So then after Ealing's Park, we ended up at Marshall Peak, because Marshall Peak's a real easy place to fly. It's an easy, nice slope and launch, and you're 2,000 feet in the air immediately. once you get off the ground. So he flew there a bunch of times, 12 years old. He's up there all by himself, 2,500 feet, just flying around having a great time. I've still got my Jin Zulu. I've got a paraglider and I've got a Will's Wing harness. I haven't used them in years because I've been flying trikes and we've been moving, and moving's a pain in the butt. I hate moving. Next time I move, I'll just burn a damn house down with everything in it, and I'll just walk away. I don't want to mess with any of that stuff. So, long story short, now you know my life history, and my history is all on my YouTube channel anyway. If you want to subscribe, love it. Not that they'll ever pay me anything. I'm thinking about doing a GoFundMe page or something. I don't know, Patreon or whatever. I don't know anything about that stuff, but maybe some people want to contribute a little bit to help me pay for my videos. It's not cheap. It's gas and parts, and now my prop on my trike. It's a composite prop, 4-blade, and it's starting to delaminate a little bit. I don't know. The trike was 2006 or 2007 it was made. So I guess it's about time. And this is, almost 20 years. And it's now starting to delaminate a little bit. So I'm going to need a $1,000 prop or a $1,500 prop. I don't know how much they cost. Stuff like that. I need tires. Engine's got about 300 hours on it. It's about due for a rebuild. It's about 2,500, 3,000. So, being on Social Security, period. I got a tiny little pension, but Social Security, period. I don't have a lot of extra money to throw around. So, might be the end of my trike flying. But we'll see about maybe a electric paramotor. Maybe we'll switch to electric paramotor. I'm not done yet. I can't give up. We're thinking about maybe moving to the Philippines, which would be fun. But if I took a powered paramotor with me, I could fly on the beach. There's some nice beaches over there. You can fly. There's a lot of nice places to fly over there. But the trike is too much of a pain in the butt to ship it over there and to go through customs and all this other crap. And then once it's there, then you got to buy parts for it when it breaks. So you got to fix it. You got to do this. You got to do that. I don't want to mess with a trike over in the Philippines. So we may, if I had an electric paramotor, there's no maintenance. You drop the battery pack in, pull out your wing, plus you pack it up in the trunk of a car, carry it around the trunk of a car. You don't need a big ass trailer with a hang glider, 20 feet of hang glider that you gotta, takes up half my garage and whatever. So anyway, that's fun. We'll see. Whatever happens. If you're watching this and you're still here, first week in August, if you fly, come on over. Johnson County Airport, Mountain City, Tennessee. They have food trucks there, all kinds of crap. And for a week, it's just paramotors and trikes and all these little lightweight airplanes. Plus there's some big airplanes that fly too, but everybody parts away and a big airplane will take off, kind of deal. But check out the videos on YouTube. Wardell, James Wardell. My memory is out to lunch. I guess I'm not awake yet. But he made a whole bunch of really good videos of the Morningside fly-in 2023. If you want to know what it's like, it'd be worth it. There was a bunch of guys up in New York that were flying powered paramotors. If you guys can get off the first week in August, come on down camp with us. I'm going to be there. We're going to have a great time. So that's enough. I did my belt, and I did my knot belt, and I showed you. Put the buckle on the side. Been losing weight, keto. I do keto 4 or 5 days a week. Maybe I'll go 2 weeks, and then I'll eat regular. Eat omnivore. But I only eat one meal a day. Eat breakfast. And I drop in half a pound a day, roughly. Sometimes a whole pound, depending on it. And that's not water weight. Water's already gone. So, yeah. Keto, intermittent fasting. And I have done a couple of fasts. I went 6 days with no food, only water. is rough, but once you get broke through, once you get past the first 36 hours, your body switches over to running on ketones instead of running on sugar or carbs, and the weight just falls off. You don't want to go too fast though, because then you end up with big old flabby skin hanging loose. All the fat goes away. But you're not only losing the fat that you can see, you're losing the fat in between your organs, and you're cleaning all the other garbage, and your organs work better, and yeah, that's enough. I'm out of here.